Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of Studors. Today we'll be dealing with the second part of class 11th biology chapter, Morphology of Flowering Plants. In the last session we have dealt about morphology of root, so here we'll be dealing with morphology of stem. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe it and enable the bell icon to get daily notifications of our new videos. So let's get on with the session. Now, what is a stem? Structure wise or in basic morphological terms, a stem is a vertical part of a plant which projects out of the soil. So I'm speaking just in general terms. Generally, a stem is the ascending part of the axis which bears branches, leaves and flowers. So it is just nothing but an ascending part or vertical part of a plant which bears branches, leaves and flowers. Another striking factor of stem is that it has nodes and internodes. So what are nodes and internodes? Let's get on with that now. Nodes is a region of a stem where leaves or branches are present, and internode is a region between two nodes. So I hope you got what is a node and internode is. Now the function of a stem. The major function of a stem is for conduction of water and minerals to other parts of the plant, and sometimes, as in the case of root, it also is modified to store food, water, provide support and protection. So this is the basic characteristic of a stem. Now this is the part what I have mentioned before. The node is this petiole portion here represents the part of a leaf, and this stem portion represents the part of a branch. So node is the portion of a stem where leaves or branches are present. Here also you can see another node, and this portion between two nodes is what we call as internode. Now, as in the case of root, stem is also modified in certain ways to adapt to its environment. So we can classify stem modification into three categories. So the first one here we'll be dealing with one by one. So the first one is an underground stem modification. So underground stem modification, the name itself suggests the portion of the stem which is beneath the soil is modified for some purpose. So generally speaking, the underground stem modification is basically for food storage. Let us get into the example one by one. The first one is rhizome. Rhizome is an underground stem modification for food storage, and it is a horizontally growing underground stem which is modified for food. This picture here shows the picture of a rhizome. The main example of rhizome is a ginger. So why is it called a stem instead of root, since it's growing under the soil? The main reason is that in rhizome, nodes and internodes are seen, and as you know, nodes and internodes are only feature of a stem. So hence it is an underground stem. Another modification is a stem tuber. Stem tuber is an underground stem modification. But what is the difference between a rhizome and a stem tuber? Stem tuber is also a rhizome, but it is in a bigger size. A bigger size of rhizome is called a stem tuber. Hence a new name is given like a stem tuber. The main example of stem tuber is potato. Now the third one is a bulb. Bulb is also an underground stem modification. It is also similar to stem tuber and rhizome. What is the difference is that here scaly fleshy leaves are present which is used for food storage, hence the name bulb, and the main example is onion. The third one, the comb. The picture here shows the picture of a comb. The main example is Amorphophallus. It is also an underground stem modification for food storage. Then what is the difference? It is a swollen base portion of the stem which has scaly leaves, which is neither seen in any of the other stem modifications. So this is what we have to discuss in underground stem modification at the basic level. Now, the subaerial stem modification. The name itself suggests subaerial stem means the portion of the stem which is related to the surface of the soil, not like deep into the soil, which is related to underground stem modification. Here, subaerial stem modification means modification of the stem which is related to the surface of the soil. We can learn 4 modifications here. The first one is a runner. The picture here shows the picture of a runner. Now, what is a runner? See here, suppose it's a plant. This plant has a short stem. This portion is a short stem which has nodes and internodes. From the node which is related to the surface of the soil, just below the surface of the soil, just above the surface of the soil, a branch is produced which grows horizontally above the surface of soil, which is a few nodes long. Means this is the branch which grows from the plant part. It bears many nodes. Suppose this is nodes, and a few nodes apart it produces again a new plant here. So this portion here is a runner. So it moves the plant in only one direction. Now the next one, we can directly move to the offset because it is much related to a runner. Offset is also a runner, but it is seen in aquatic plants. So this picture here shows the diagram of an offset. It is seen in aquatic plants. The only difference is that it is multi-directional. The extra branches which produce from the short stem at the node is multi-directional. It grows in all over the direction, and the new branch, which is the offset, is only a one node long. So suppose this is a plant here. This is a water surface. The new branch which is produced from the node will be one node long and produce a new plant again. So like this, it grows in all direction and covers the water surface. The main example is Pistia or Eichhornia. Now the next one, we can learn about sucker. Sucker is also a subaerial stem modification in which suppose let's deal with the diagram. Suppose this here is a short stem. This is the soil. From this node, a new branch is produced underground the stem, and it grows and produces a new plant here. So from the above the soil, we don't feel any connection between these two plants because the connection is beneath the ground. So this portion here is a sucker. So this picture here shows the picture of an example of a sucker. The main example is banana. Now the last one is stolon. Stolon is a subaerial stem modification. The difference between sucker and stolon is that we can deal with diagrammatically. Suppose this is a plant and this is the soil. From the node here, it produces a branch which slightly moves above the soil and obliquely moves downward and touches the soil again and produces a new plant here. Just like this. Here you can see that this portion of the stem. This is known as a stolon, which moves slightly above soil like here and again touches the soil and produces a new plant there. The main example is jasmine. So this is the subaerial stem modification in basic terms which we have to learn in this chapter. Now next category of stem modification is aerial stem modification. Aerial stem is nothing but the portion of the stem above the soil. So that modification in which the aerial stem is involved is known as aerial stem modification. So we can learn basically 4 types of aerial stem modification. The first one is a phylloclad. Phylloclad is nothing but when the whole stem of a plant is modified into a leaf-like flattened structure which helps in photosynthesis. The main example is Muclenbeckia. This picture here shows the Muclenbeckia. This is a stem which is modified to a green flattened structure which looks exactly like a leaf, which helps in photosynthesis. So in this way, the whole plant stem is modified for photosynthesis, which looks like a flattened green structure. Now the next one is a cladode. When a branch of a plant is modified to a leaf-like structure, a flattened leaf-like structure, which is green in color and helps in photosynthesis, it is known as a cladode. The main example is asparagus. This picture here shows the picture of a cladode. This portion is a cladode, in which it's actually a stem modification which looks exactly like a leaf and helps in photosynthesis. Now the third one is a thorn. Example, bougainvillea. Thorn is a stem modification which protects the plant from grazing from the animals which feeds on these plants. So it is actually a stem modification for protection. So here, which we see here is a thorn, which is a stem modification, helps the plant from animals. And the next one modification, aerial stem modification, is a tendril, which is mainly seen in the example cucumber. The tendril is a stem modification for support. So this portion here you see here is a tendril, which is stem modification which helps in climbing to other surfaces, and it is actually a stem modification for support for like plants like creepers which need surfaces to grow. So this tendril is actually a stem modification for support. So that's all for today. I hope you understood the topic very well. If you have any doubt and queries regarding this topic, please comment on the section below and wait for more videos. Thank you.